Hello, everybody. This is Adam Warnock, the Dabbling Warlock, and today we are doing day 5 of the Learn to Draw in 30 Days challenge by Marc Brunet. And what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be drawing 3 boxes that are flat and 3 foreshortened boxes. So, what do I mean by that? Well, there's some of you may have heard of things called like isometric perspective or isogrid or something like that. So what that means is that all the lines are parallel. So like if we draw a cube or a box or something like that. Whoops. So something like this. All the lines are parallel. If you extend them out to infinity, they're never going to meet. What we mean by this is flat. And actually, hold on. I think I can do one better. So let's actually make these lines parallel. Let me just get rid of this. And grab a ruler. And then we're just going to get this right there. All right, so... All right, so we got that. Now we're just going to get things lined up. Like that. And then we get this flipped around. Oh, it might help if I actually use some of these guys like they're supposed to be used. Oh. We'll fix that in just a second. And then, let's see. Yeah, there we go. Up little... There we go. So I'll just go right there. And then there. Okay, so this is what we mean by flat. So let me just clean this up a little bit. That way we don't have straight lines going all over the place. Okay, there we go. So this is what we mean by flat. Flat. So these 3 lines, so this one right here, this one right here, and this one right here, are all parallel. Same thing with these 3 and these 3. So extend them out as far as you want. They're never going to touch. Foreshortened, on the other hand, is a little bit different. So we're going to start again with... So we're going to start again, and this time instead of... We're going to move this point all the way out here. So we're just going to draw that. And yeah, let's do it this way. Let's do it this way. Okay, so what we mean by foreshortened is that... actually, I just realized I kind of messed up. I did this in the wrong order. So, never mind. We won't bother doing it that way. Hold on one second. Let me turn that down just a little bit. Okay. Okay, there we go. So, sorry, that was a little louder than I was expecting. All right. So, what do we mean by foreshortened? So, we're just going to draw the front of a box. And what we mean by foreshortened is that, like, we just want these to start getting closer together as we get away. So as we move from this face right here the lines are going to start converging. So this side right here is going to be longer than this side right here. And the same thing is going to be true for these two. And if we could see the back one, this one would be longer than the one that's in the back. So that's what we mean by foreshortening. It is, we're creating the illusion of depth. Not really certain where the term foreshortening came from, so can't really go into depth there. So we're just going to go ahead and actually, you know what? Instead of erasing all that, let's go ahead and just keep it. And we're just going to lasso all of that and move it right over here. And we're just going to shrink it and move it right here. Okay, so let's start with the flat boxes. So the way we draw a box is, first we make sure that we have the right tool, and then we're just going to draw yeah, let's see if we can get a little bit better of a line there. We're going to draw a line like that. And we're just going to draw a rectangle. And this is going to be one face. And then we're going to try and draw what we could see of the rest of the box. And we want to try and keep the angles, we want to try and keep these lines parallel. So let's just go ahead and shade some of these. And honestly, I probably should rotate the canvas, but I'm being stubborn. Okay. Okay, so this is going to be our first flat box. All right, and then we're going to go ahead and draw another one. And this time, instead of... And this time, instead of looking having to draw it as we're looking up to it, we're going to be drawing it as if we're looking down at it. So, like that. And then, let's see. Yeah, like that. And then we're going to make this face the one that's getting all the light. And then we'll just go ahead and shade this. And you know what? I thought I had set things up to where people couldn't post links. No, I'm not interested. Thank you. All right. Okay, so let's just go ahead and do a little bit more shading. Just make that a little darker. Okay, so this is going to be number 2. All right, and then for our third one, for our third one, let's get a little tricky. So far I've been drawing these face lines. So we're going to try and replicate what we did with this one over here by freehanding it and not using a ruler. Always a recipe for success. No, it's not. Anybody who tells you that using a ruler is cheating is stupid. I'm just going to come out and say it. It is a tool. It is like any other tool. It is like the pen display I'm using. It is like the pencil that you are using. It is like the pen that that others have used. Brush pens. The tool does not make the artist. What makes the artist is the skill behind the tool. So, let's see if we got that. Let's see. I think that's a little better. So, let's see. I think I got it. Sorry. 1 second. Okay. Okay, so we want to bring this down. Sorry, I got something in my eyes. Okay, I think I got rid of it. All right, so, and then we want to try and replicate that down here. There we go. There we go, and we'll just kind of shade this like that. Okay, so that is our third. That's our third flat box. Okay, so now that we've got these done, I'm just whoop, undo. Yeah, okay, so let's see if we can do this again without cutting anything off. Yeah, it'll be all right. There's a little bit I left up here, but it'll be all right. So we're just going to move this over here. All right, and these are going to be our... Ah! These are going to be our flat boxes. Okay. So now let's move on to our foreshortened boxes. So what we want to do is we want to do the same thing we were doing over here. And we're just going to draw a rectangle. And let's see. Let's go with this way. So we want these two lines to converge. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to get these two to converge at a certain point. So if we extend this out like that, extend this one out like that, eventually they'll hit a point where they converge. Oop. Might help actually follow the line. So what we want to do is we want to try and get this line right here to match up with those lines and converge at a point. And honestly, I think that's close. Because that line's not really straight. So yeah. So this line kind of curves down like that first time I drew it. So then what we're going to do is we're going to try and finish out the box by just connecting these lines like that. And we want to try and get these lines to be parallel. So this line and this line are parallel, and this line and this line are parallel. So in theory, if you extend them out, they're never going to touch. So we're just going to clean this up a little bit. Like that. And we'll go ahead and get rid of this. And then we're just going to go ahead and shade this one. And yeah, like that. Okay, so this is going to be our first foreshortened box. And then we want to do the same thing again. So let's see. So we're just going to draw. Yeah. Actually, let's make this one a little bit bigger. And we're just going to draw this big old fella. And then we're going to do the same thing, except we're going to be trying... So like last time where like we were looking at it from below. So if you want to imagine the scene, our first box is up here somewhere and we're standing down here on the ground somewhere and we're looking up at it. So next one, we want to draw the box where we're looking down at it, so it's going to be below our eye level. So what we want to do is we want to do the top of the box, and then let's see, got that one, and then got that one. And if you'll notice the angle between here and here, and if we were to extend this out like that, you'll notice that the angle here is a lot sharper than it is here or here, and this one's actually a little less sharp than it is here. But the difference between these two isn't as pronounced as the difference between these two or these two. And the reason for that is we got these two sides are closer together, so they're not going to angle in as much to meet at like some point that's way out here somewhere. But this one's got to angle more to meet that point. So we're just going to have that be the back of the box right there. And I'm going to go ahead and clean this up a little bit. And let's see if we can actually get that to be vertical. And then we're just going to try and copy that. Go ahead and get that done. And then we're gonna pretend that the light source is somewhere like off at this corner right here. So light shining down this way, and I should probably just go ahead and erase that. So our light source for this one is shining off this way, and it's shining towards that corner right there. So we're just going to shade this one a little bit. We're not going to shade this at all because the light source is kind of more above that face than this face. This one, the front face, we're actually going to shade a lot. So give it some heavy shading. Let's see. And one of these days, I'll actually learn how to get right up to the edge without crossing over it. Alright, so we got that, and we're just going to clean that up. Okay. Okay, so this is going to be number 2. Alright, and then for our third and final box, we're going to try and do the same thing we did for this one over here. So you may be asking yourself, how are we going to foreshorten this? And that's a good question. So what we're going to do is we're going to draw the verticals of our box. And we're going to try and give it And this time we're going to be looking at it from below. So again, this kind of way. But instead of looking at it face on, we're looking at it corner on. So what you want to do when you're doing something like this is you want to try and have lines that are parallel converge. So these are going to go out that way, and then these are going to go out like that, and they're going to converge somewhere over here. All right, so but that's only part of the box. So we still need to figure out what's going on with these back corners. Well, these are in theory parallel, so if you want to figure out where they go, you just try and get them to meet up with where these guys are going to meet up. And then we just clean this up. Yep. Clean it up a little too well. Alright, so we're just going to go ahead and get rid of that because we don't need it. And then we're just going to clean that up, and then we're going to shade this really dark because it's the bottom, and we're going to shade this not as dark because it's the side, but it's not the side that's facing the light, and our light source is coming from somewhere over here. So that's going to be number 3. So what this is doing is this is teaching you the difference between isometric, which is flat, and in perspective, which is foreshortened. Hold on, I can write better than that. Go figure. All right, so let's just go ahead and get rid of that because apparently I didn't give myself enough space. So yeah, I can write neat and I can write fast, but I cannot do both at the same time. Okay, so this is going to be... So this is the foreshortened, this is the flat. This is in perspective, this is an isometric perspective. So you may be asking yourself, okay, what does this have to do with anything? Well, actually it has quite a bit to do with a more advanced topic. So let me just go ahead and go to 1-point perspective here. So if you look at the cursor, you can see something, which is you have 2 lines which are perpendicular. So this is our horizontal and our vertical axis. And then we have 1 line that's going back and forth. And if we take this line and we just extend it all the way down like that, we notice that no matter where we are on this line, well, let me see if I can get that a little, yeah, like that. Wherever we are on this line right here, the horizontals are always going to be horizontal, but and the verticals are always going to be vertical no matter where we are on the horizontal line. So like if we draw a vertical out here, but the lines that are going into the paper, if we want to bring some geometry terminology, let me go ahead and turn this off real quick. So our vertical is Y, or horizontal is X. Well, the one going into and out of the paper, like that, is our Z, or Z if you happen to come from a country that likes talking in English and using the metric system. So all of our X lines are going to be so if we turn this back on, all of our X lines are always going to be parallel, and the same is true of all of our Y lines. Whoop. Now, one thing you do have to be careful when using a tool like this is that it can be very easy to get the wrong line whenever you're close to this line right here, which is called the horizon line. So that's one point. So let me go ahead and get rid of all this. All right, so let's bring this back up. All right, so when we're drawing our foreshortened boxes, what we're doing is we're drawing them and we're trying to draw them in perspective. And let me turn that grid off a little real quick. Oh, whoop, wrong thing. So when we're drawing them flat on, we're drawing them in 1 point perspective. Well, what about that third one I did where we didn't draw a flat face? Well, that's 2 point perspective. So our verticals are still going to be parallel, but the thing is depending on where we put the other lines, they're not going to be parallel. Now, if you place like one of the faces right on the horizon line, of course they're going to be parallel. But for this one, and we'll just we'll go ahead and fix that in just a minute. Okay. So we'll draw that. And we'll draw that. Gonna draw that. So that is our box where we didn't have we weren't starting with a flat face. We were starting with the 3 vertical lines and then trying to create a box from here. Although in that case, it probably makes more sense to do this. So there's our 3 verticals, and then we just connect the dots, so to speak. So let's go ahead and get up like that, and then like that, and then we go from here to that perspective line, and then from here to that vanishing point over here. And we're going to turn off the perspective grid. That way we can go ahead and clean this up and make things a little bit more clear about what's going on here. So that's what we're doing with all of this. Or that's what the point of this exercise was, I should say. It is about getting to the point where we're comfortable drawing in perspective. So, whoops. So our goal is to get to where we're drawing like this. And you don't have to use a perspective thing. And honestly, let me just do something real quick. So this software does have a perspective tool, but you don't need it in order to draw in perspective. So let's just say we got a vanishing point here, a vanishing point here. Let me bring my ruler back. So we're going to place one here and one here. Okay. So we're going to get rid of that for a second. And we're going to say that we're trying to draw a box in 2 point perspective again. So So what we're going to do in this case is we're just going to do what we did before. All right. And then we're going to get this back right here as close as we can. And then now that we have that line, we can go ahead and do that. And then we'll just clean this up. So you don't need like fancy software to draw in perspective. You just need a ruler. And it helps if you have a square or something like that, but you really only need the ruler. The end of a ruler is square enough that if you had to, you can just draw a line anywhere on the paper. You don't even have to make it particularly square. And then what you do is you line up the end of the ruler with that line and get it as lined up as you can, and then draw your verticals using that. The downside is you can't really have anything crossing it takes a little more work to get to get stuff into perspective if it's crossing the horizon line. And what you do in that case is you line it up on the horizon line, draw part of it, and then you shift the ruler down to where you need it, and then draw the rest of it. So that's pretty much what this exercise is about. It's about getting people into thinking in perspective. So, and honestly, perspective is a whole rabbit hole by itself, but when you're just starting out, it's not that hard. The basics of it are not that hard, which is when you're looking at stuff in perspective, lines that are parallel converge at a point somewhere on eye level. So that's also another thing that they call the horizon line. It's also your eye level. So this is how you can tell, wow, I really mangled that. Okay, so the horizon line is your eye level. It's like if you're looking out, it is basically a line that stretches out from your eyes, if you want to look at it that way. And what that does is what that means is that you can actually change how you're looking at different things based on where you put this. So like if you have somebody who's low down, the horizon line is going to be lower down. If you have somebody who's looking at something from like high above, the horizon line is going to be way up on the paper. So, but that's honestly probably getting way too far. Main thing is if you're drawing a flat box, all the lines need to be parallel. So like, or all the lines going in the same direction need to be parallel. If you're drawing a foreshortened box, depending on, or really you draw one face with line square, and then the lines going back into the paper, those converge at a point. So that's probably all you really need to take away from this. Anyway, thank you for joining me. I hope you have a wonderful evening, and I hope you'll join me on day 6, where we're going to be learning a little bit more about this. So stay tuned. I hope you have fun and hope you learned a little bit. And this is the Dabbling Warlock signing off.